guys, welcome back to Rocky Mountain Homestead. Tonight we are going to learn how to pressure can ground beef using a 23-quart Presto pressure canner. I'm going to take you guys along step by step. It's going to be a video more directed towards the newbie crowd, those who are just learning a pressure can for the first time, those that would like a video to kind of pressure can alongside with. So the steps are going to be a bit more thorough than if you already knew how to pressure can. I want you guys to be comfortable with this process and not feel intimidated at all. So I'm hoping that my video is helpful and that I can guide you guys step by step and you guys won't have any questions or doubt and you'll be able to do this and get some ground beef up on your shelf. So let's go ahead and get started. So what you are going to do is you're going to want a really clean surface. So what I always do first is kind of wash down my kitchen as much as I can. I was hopeful that I was going to have enough jars to double stack, but I did not thaw enough ground beef for that. My ground beef was actually frozen. This is from our cow we bought back in February. So I only have roughly a little over 8 pounds. So we'll see how far we get. I'm focusing on proteins if you can't tell. So I just did a couple quarts of chicken breast. But what I was hoping to do is all these jars, but I may only have enough for about 8 or 9 pints. So what you do is just clean your surfaces really well. You get your jars washed up and ready. My rings are ready. My lids are in warm water. And you are going to have your debubbler. You're going to need this to get the air bubbles out once you're filling your jars up with the ground beef. You also have your funnel that you're going to be sure the ground beef makes it into the jar and doesn't make a mess everywhere. So you'll have that. You'll have your ladle, which is going to scoop up the ground beef to put in your jar. Your little, I don't even know. This is the thing that the thingamajigger that puts that picks up your lids to put on your jars, and then what you have here is like your tongs to basically lift your jar. This is a jar lifter, and I'm not left-handed if you can tell, but I'll show you as I'm doing it. I'll have you on the tripod so I have my hands free, and then my little jar of vinegar to wipe my rims of the jars. You will probably get a little bit of grease or fat on the rim of the jar, and you don't want that because that can compromise your seal. So all these things have a purpose, and I'll get a clean rag to dip in that vinegar. Over here, once again, I have my meat thawed from our local ranch down the road from us. Not literally down the road, but really close to us. I have a 23-quart Presto pressure canner. That's what I use. And I actually have my water simmering. What you're going to want to do is fill up your pressure canner, whichever one you use, according to your instructions in your manual. Mine requires 3 quarts of water, which is 12 cups of water. So I have my 3 quarts of water up to my line inside, just simmering. And then I have this, I'm going to put my ground beef in and cook it up. I want to say when you're pressure canning ground beef, you are going to want to just slightly brown it. You're not going to want to cook it all the way because this goes in the pressure canner for 75 minutes. So it's going to do a lot of cooking on its own during the pressure canning process. What you want to do is just take the pink off of the meat and lightly brown it up, and I will show you guys step by step how to do that. So let's go ahead and get started. I am going to turn my heat on medium and get the ground beef in this. Okay, now I got all my ground beef in here. I might have about 9 pounds. I'm not too sure. There's, some over a little 2 pounds, over 2 pounds each pack. So we'll see how many jars we end up getting. And I'm just going to brown this, and yeah, I will bring you guys back when it starts looking the way you're going to want it to, and I'll let you know how long it took to get there and what you're going to want to be looking for before you realize it is ready to go in the jars. All right, you guys, so it's been about 20 minutes, and as you can see, I cooked it to where the pink just changed to a light brown, so it is not cooked completely, but there is no pink to it. So I'm going to drain this and bring you back when I'm done. Okay, now I have drained most of the grease out of this. And now I'm going to show you over here. I have my stovetop on simmer. And if you had a dishwasher with a rinse only cycle, you could put your jars in the top rack and just let that steam up your jars and get them hot. But because I don't have a rinse only cycle on my dishwasher, I fill the jars up a little bit of the way with some water from the sink. And just while I'm cooking, the ground beef for about 20 minutes on the stovetop, I just have this simmering. So this pressure canner is, the water's very warm, the jars are very warm, and the ground beef is very warm. So that's what I'm going to do. Well, that's what I do. And then I'll pick up the jars with the jar lifter and empty the water that's in the jars into the sink. And what I'm going to do also is take this tea kettle and I'm going to fill it up with some water. And I'm going to put the lid on and get this water boiling. You want hot water to be poured on top of your ground beef when you're filling the jars. So I will bring you back when this water is boiling. Okay, I have my jars ready to go. I just pulled them out of the pressure canner. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fill up these jars with 1 inch of headspace. So you will fill your jar with ground beef to about 1 inch of headspace. So I'm going to take this off the tripod so I can show you. So see how that is 1 inch of headspace and the ground beef is not going above that inch. This also, debubblers have a little measuring tool on the bottom. That first notch is a 1/4 inch. The next one is 1/2 inch. The next one is 3/4 inch. And then the bottom one is 1 inch. So right here is 1 inch. And I am going to grab my boiling water, which I did not have this ready. Well, I'm going to just pour some boiling water over it and set that kettle down and keep, I'm not really steady, sorry, and just fill it till you get to the inch. There we go. So you're going to want to check, make sure it's still 1 inch, and then you are going to want to debubble, and you're going to just press kind of against the beef that's in there and get all those air bubbles that are trapped out. That is very important. Debubbling pretty much goes hand in hand with headspace. So it is very important to get the air bubbles out, or they will be trapped in your jar, and that can cause them to try to escape during the process. And that's when sometimes it pushes liquid out of your jars and you get siphoning. It's really common with like apple pie filling, but you can get the liquids siphoned out. So after you have debubbled, you're going to want to check your headspace again. And mine is, I'd say pretty much okay. I'm just going to add a tad bit more of water. And then I'm going to put you back on the tripod so I'm not moving you all around and I can get better imaging, but there we go. So we are exactly at 1 inch of headspace, and it's also really important after you debubble to check for that because, like I said, the headspace goes hand in hand with the debubbling, and if you have the wrong amount of headspace, okay, I'm sorry, I just couldn't do it anymore. I was trying to hold the phone with my hand, and I just wasn't getting a good angle for you guys. So anyway, headspace is really important. Just like debubbling, headspace will ensure that your food doesn't spoil, and it will also ensure that you get a seal that is a good seal, and a good airtight seal on your jars. So you definitely don't want to skip those 2 steps. And once again, I'm also not pushing this down. I am just packing it lightly. And I am at 1 inch. So I'm going to pour the boiling water again. I am really making a mess with this tea kettle. I have it way too full, so it's like coming out at like the bottom too. So there we go. Okay. So that is going to now get debubbled. Get all those air bubbles out once again. And once you are done, we are once again going to check our headspace, and actually that is on point, so I don't need to do anything with that. And let me grab my cloth. All right, I had to grab my cloth for my vinegar so I can wipe the rims. I am going to get the rest of these sealed up, and while I do, I just want to talk to you about, usually I play music during this part or something to not bore you guys, and I speed it up, but I do want to say a few things that ground beef is really good for, and it's really convenient to have on your shelf. Number one, you know, my favorite thing is if you forget to thaw something that day for dinner, you kind of have some meat ready to go on your shelf, kind of like how a lot of people do freezer meals. But me personally, it's already cooked and you don't have to wait for it to thaw. So that's my favorite thing about having meat ready to go on your shelf. And another thing is you can pretty much add it into all different types of things. You know, you could do tacos. That's something super easy my kids can do if I need to run out and do something and I'm going to be gone for a little while, or, you know, it's just going to be my husband and kids and I'm not going to be home to make dinner. That's something really quick they can just pull off the shelf. And like I said, they'll usually do tacos with it. You can also do chili and have your ground beef already cooked, ready to go, and just add the ingredients that you normally put in your chili. You can also throw it in some spaghetti sauce, and it's already cooked, and you know, you can just make your pasta and it's pretty much ready to go. There's so many different things that you can add it into. You can make let's see, you can also use the beef for sloppy joes, or another thing that I like to make is Korean beef and rice bowls. Those are really simple, and if your beef is already cooked, ready to go, all you have to do is add your ingredients and seasonings that you would normally put in it. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can use it for. Enchiladas, so many different uses, but it's something I really enjoy having up on the shelf. If there's other things that you use your ground beef for, leave it down in the comments below. I think that'd be really helpful to those that are just starting out looking for ideas. My mind, when I'm doing something, doesn't seem to always think what I normally would use it for, but there's so many different uses. I have a little too much, so I'm just transferring it over to another jar. Let's check our headspace and add our water. So anyway, just some ideas, but oh, you can also use it if you like shepherd's pie, you can throw it in that. So it's really simple to have up on your shelf, and this is so easy to do. I mean, really anyone can do it. So if you are intimidated, do not be intimidated. This is really easy if you follow all the steps. Once again, it's just really important to keep everything kind of the same temperature, just so number one, you don't get thermal shock with your jars. You don't want broken jars, but you also want to be sure everything's safe and all at the same temperature. So I'm going to fill the rest of these jars up and see how far I can stretch this ground beef. I was also able to get more jars than I thought I was going to, and I think that was just all the extra ounces of the ground beef that I had. So I was able to get 12, which means I will get to double stack, and I will show you that. When we get them into the canner. Now you are going to put your rings on and you are going to twist it fingertip tight. So what that means is as tight as you can get it with only your fingers. And you don't want to do it too tight, just fingertip tight. Now when you're lifting your jars up, you want to keep them level. You don't really want to slosh the contents in the jar sideways. You want to just keep it level so the contents in the liquid do not get under that lid where it's going to seal. So I have 8 of these wide mouth jars on the bottom. And if you had the narrow, the regular mouth jars, you could fit in more. Usually I can fit 20 pints into this when I double stack, but these are wide mouth. So right now, like I said, I have 8 in the bottom. And then you're going to take your rack if your pressure canner comes with one. If not, you can buy them additionally online. Just follow your manuals for that, whether your canner can do that. And I'm going to stack the last 4 on top. Okay. Now that I have them double stacked ready to go, I'm going to put my lid on. You are going to want to line up your arrows. And then once you do, you're going to close your lid. Now that the lid is on, I am going to turn my heat to high. And I will show you guys. Now when you're putting your lid on, there is an arrow here on the lid and there's an arrow down here. I know I have marker on my hand, but you want to line these arrows up. Now this is my dial, and for my altitude, I need to have it reach 14 PSI, and it's going to build up to that pressure, and I'm going to show you. I'm actually going to turn my heat on. I have a gas range. It's on about an 8, so close to high heat. And then this is also going to be your regulator, but we're not going to put that on just yet. That's going to be after it's built enough pressure. Everybody's PSI number, if you have a Presto pressure canner, is going to be different. So check for your altitude what your PSI is. I will bring you back when this has the steam going so you know what the next step is going to be. Okay, it has been about 15 minutes and you may be able to see the steam that's coming up here. It is still not time to put the regulator on. You want to put the regulator on when this pops up. So this is not popped up yet. We are going to wait, but as you can see, there's a good stream of steam coming up. And that is exactly what we want. So in just a little bit, this will pop up and I will try and bring you back and show you that if I can catch it on the camera. Okay, I just missed it. I'm working over here. I have a online class I need to do for firefighting. So anyway, yep, I heard it and I was like, darn it, I didn't get up fast enough. Now that that is up, you can add on your regulator right now. And I'm going to say for me personally, I like to make sure all the air is out of it. And I, at this point, set a timer for 10 minutes. And once again, you don't have to do this. This is just something I've always done. This is something some people do. But I'm going to give it 10 minutes before I put my regulator on. And I'll bring you back when the 10 minutes is up. Okay, now that the 10 minutes is up, we're going to go ahead and put the regulator on. And you are going to slowly start to see your PSI go up. So once again, check for your altitude, what your PSI is going to be. Mine is 14 PSI. Now, one of the things about your PSI, you never want it to dip down and go under your PSI number at all. If it goes down, you need to restart your process all over again once you reach the heat back up or the pressure back up, which would probably be an increase of heat to get that pressure back up. So you'll have to adjust it, get your PSI number back to what it should be, and start your timer all over again. Even if you have only 10 minutes left of pressure canning, this is something that's really important. You still have to start the process all over again. So it's very important. It is not to dip down underneath your number at all. So it is okay if it goes a little bit higher. Mine, I usually can keep it consistently without it changing, and you'll learn the sweet spot. You'll learn, as you do this, and the stovetops vary and all that. They're all different, but mine's usually around 14 and a half, sometimes 15. It's okay if it goes up a little bit. You obviously don't want it going way up past your number, but mine, I usually keep it around 14 and a half to 15 PSI. So it's okay if it goes a little bit over, but you just do not want it to go under. So as you see it gradually going up, I once again have a gas stove. It's not that clean, so don't judge. It's the end of the night. I'm not cleaning my stove top until I'm done for the day with it. But I have mine here, which is close to high. It's about an 8. So as soon as mine, and you'll learn how to adjust it, as soon as mine gets to 5, I will usually turn mine down to about a 5 on my dial here. You want to very gradually decrease your heat, because you don't want, if you do it too suddenly, you're going to cause, or I should say you could cause, and more than likely will cause, siphoning from your jars in here. So you want to gradually lower it. So I am at about a 5. I am going to gradually turn mine down to a 5. And as the numbers climb, you're just going to do the same thing. As you get closer and closer to your number, you're just going to gradually bring the temperature down. Now I am close to a 9, so I am going to lower my dial to about a 3.5. Just to give you guys an idea. You can skip past this if you're not interested, but just to kind of show you, if you are new and you happen to have a gas stove top, like I said, every stove's different, but this is generally how little I decrease my heat as the pressure is going up, just to avoid siphoning once again. Now that I am in between a 12 and a 13, I am going to drop my temperature down to about 2.5. So I am almost to my number of 14 psi. Okay, I am at my 14 psi. I'm actually a little bit over. I'd rather be over than under because I'm going to lower my heat once more to low. So what you're going to want to do is just double check that it does not dip. As you can see, it's coming back down a little bit. You do not want it to go past 14 or whatever your number is. And it seems to be staying right there, which is usually where mine ends up. So I'm going to set my timer. Now I have set my timer for 75 minutes. That is how long you want to set it for pints. If you are doing quarts, you will set your timer for 90 minutes. My gauge is a little bit over 14. Now I personally don't want mine once again to dip down at all. So I adjust my heat accordingly, and sometimes I'll put it a little up over the low temperature just to ensure that it stays at 14. So like I said, this is where it's okay for it to go a little bit over your number for your PSI, because it's better to go a little bit over than under. If it's directly on the 14 or on your number and it dips the slightest bit, then once again, like I said, you have to start all over again. So mine fluctuates up to about the 15 number, and that's okay. So I will bring you back when this process is over and we pull our jars out. If you are new to pressure canning, it's probably smart to stay in the kitchen and just keep an eye on it. For myself, once again, I've gotten pretty comfortable with mine, but I'm going to be in the kitchen anyway. Like I said, I am doing some online courses for my fire training class. I actually have to go to this Wednesday coming up. So I have a lot of different courses I need to have finished before we do our in-person meet. And I am going to be in here doing that. So I will see you back when these are all done. All right, so my timer went off and I am now shutting this off. So what you are going to do is wait, and this process takes a little while for it to come down from the pressure all the way to 0, and I'll show you once we get to 0 what to do next. But do not take that regulator off at all. Let it just slowly, and it will slowly go down. So I highly suggest finding something to do to occupy your time for a little while, because this process once again takes a little bit of time. So I will let you know for me exactly how much time this process will take, just so you have an idea. But I will bring you back once we are at the next stage. Okay, that has taken about 70 minutes. So basically, the increments in between every number is about 5 minutes of depressurizing. So about 70 minutes. And now once this drops down to 0, you are going to still have this up, but because I waited so long, this has now dropped down. Once this drops down, you are good to lift your regulator off, and you can go ahead and take the lid off. Remember to always lift it with this steam going toward the back, so don't have it facing you when you lift the lid. And it is very, very hot. So what some people do is they leave the lid cracked and let it sit for a couple minutes. This is very, very hot, so I am going to let this sit for about 5 minutes, just like this, so it can cool off a little bit before we place it on the counter. Okay, and as you can hear, they are sealing. This is what it is going to look like. And as you can see, these are still very, very, very hot. But they are done. And now you are going to want them to cool off. Do not touch the lids at all or take the rings off for about 12 to 24 hours. 12 hours minimum. You want to give them a chance to seal and be sure they are sealed. After 12 to 24 hours, then you can check, be sure they're all sealed. Take your rings off, twist the rings off, and what I like to do is have some warm soapy water, and I just clean like the whole rim area of the jar, and just get in the little cracks and crevices and just get it cleaned, dry it off really well, and label it and put it up on the pantry shelf. So I hope you guys give this a try. It's very simple to do, and it's a blessing to have it on the shelf ready to go, already cooked. It's easy to add into so many different recipes, and I hope you guys give this a try. So I need to go to bed. It is late. I finished all my courses online and I am tired and need to get up shortly because I am one of the lead preschool teachers at our church tomorrow. And I need to at least get a couple hours sleep before I have to be up. So I will see you guys on the next video. Okay. Take care and God bless.